Intuitively, the idea that tech giants may actually be vulnerable to social action taken against them seems mistaken. Tech giants, as the name states explicitly, are giants. Huge corporations with lots of managers and professionals working diligently to increase the size and reach of the corporation, with obscene amount of money to spend, with tentacles spread into a variety of economic sectors and revenue streams, and with hundreds of millions of users and customers. If we take all these elements together, taking these giants head-on seems more a practice in futility than anything else, a hopeless cause and a waste of energies. Still, delving a little bit deeper into the cases of these tech giants reveals a different, more complex picture. While a number of elements make them somewhat immune to social action taken against them, other elements actually make them vulnerable and easy targets. In this video, I will assess elements working in both directions and try to determine if such struggles against tech giants are worthwhile. First off, I need to clarify who I'm talking about when I say tech giants. It goes without saying that what is known as the Big Five are included in the list. That is, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft. Other giants such as Uber, Airbnb, Spotify, Tesla, and Netflix are also good candidates, but the list is and can be much longer. Now, I'm aware that some of these companies are actually named differently than their platforms or their main initial platform, but I'm not going to bother with that here. Now, you might have noticed that I listed only Western companies and, for instance, didn't include any East Asian company. The reason is that I am focused here on those tech giants that ordinary citizens can pressure somehow, and I have some doubts as to how much this can be achieved under non-Western settings. Moreover, the targeted tech giant must be a known and repeat offender. While virtually all these tech giants can be criticized for monopolistic practices and efforts to dominate an entire market segment, and also for often practicing tax avoidance, some of them have managed to cause damage to people and/or the environment in additional ways, which makes them better candidates for action. Therefore, in the list offered above, some of the companies might stand out as being less of an ideal target than others that have amassed many criticisms under their belt. Last, it should be noted that corporations that are leaders in their fields make better targets than the runner-ups. For this reason, it is easier to galvanize a campaign against a company like Uber than it is against Lyft. Now that I've made clear what kind of tech giants I am talking about, I will turn to listing some of the things that make tech giants bad candidates for social action, followed by a list of what makes them good candidates for such action. First off, in the cons list is user dependency. These tech giants have all been successful in tapping into some sort of user need, wish, or craving, which they manage to provide either free of charge or at a cheap price. The only exception to this rule among the companies I mentioned earlier might be Apple and Tesla, which sell products at a premium price. That said, as both companies are often at the cutting edge of innovation, user interface, and sleek look, their products are still highly desirable and their customers consider them a good value for money. The end result is that all these companies have highly engaged users who are dependent on their products and services. These users may feel genuine loyalty towards the brand or platform, which makes their receptiveness to criticism of these companies low. They don't want to hear about the problems, and they especially don't want to act in light of them by way of a boycott of some sort because they like the product. Alternatively, they perhaps don't like the product but are dependent on the service or are unwilling to pay more for it. Sometimes it's just a question of not wanting to go through the hassle of checking alternate services or having to learn a new user interface. Second, the high number of users or customers these corporations have may in itself discourage social action. Can I make a dent against a platform with hundreds of millions of users around the globe? Do I have a chance of making a difference when the company is global and caters to so many types of groups? Faced with an entity that appears to be a titan, most of us will run and not take it on. Third is the wealth of these platforms. This may discourage people from taking action because it makes the corporation appear huge and omnipotent, and because people realized that some of this wealth must be translated into political power and favorable decisions by state organizations. Indeed, huge corporations use their money in order to lobby for favorable laws and policies, as well as to gain the favor of politicians and high-ranking administrators. They also employ a cadre of lawyers, PR personnel, and other types of professionals in order to pursue different branches of the state to promote favorable policies. Thus, any social struggle against them carries the mammoth task of counteracting all the power acquired by these tech giants. Fourth, overcoming the media barriers is another discouraging factor. Some of the tech giants we are talking about are media platforms themselves, like Facebook, and all of them have high access to media outlets and to the means for shaping agendas. Any attempt at social action against any of these giants is likely to encounter diligent counter-attempts to dismiss, deflect, and distract. Last on our list of factors that may discourage social action, we need to add investors and their fondness of tech giant stock. Corporations in the tech sector, and especially the large ones, enjoy stratospheric valuations, which translate themselves into continuous rises in share prices and into returns for stock owners. These stockholders, in turn, have an inherent interest in the companies continuing to thrive regardless of any wrongdoing this may involve, and may develop a loyalty which will work against any attempt to campaign against the company. With all that said, one might ask, is there any chance to take these tech giants head on? Isn't that an impossible task? The short answers are that there is a chance and that it isn't impossible. There are actually elements which make these giants easy targets and fertile ground for social action. First off is the ability to pinpoint the origin of detrimental policy. People and organizations are constantly masking their role in producing products and services that damage people and the environment. They hide behind secrecy, they mask their trail, they deny their involvement or blame outside forces. With so much lying and masking, it is usually hard to pinpoint who deteriorated a situation that was better before. But with these tech giants, which take pride in disrupting certain sectors, it is much easier to assign blame. Who made selling user data a thriving business in the 21st century? To a significant extent, Google and Facebook did. Who introduced technological dystopian conditions in warehouses all across the globe? Amazon did. Who ravaged the taxi driving profession to the point drivers may take less than a living wage? Uber did. Who significantly decreased the availability of housing for rent by turning apartments into short-term suites for tourists? Airbnb did. Who reduced the royalties that artists receive for the music to a level that is unsustainable for all but the most popular artists? Spotify and YouTube did. As the monopolistic giants that they are, these tech corporations make it rather easy to assign blame and target for action. Second in the pros column is these tech giants' high pervasiveness. Being very active in getting a hold of new markets and disrupting them gets them engaged with lots of people and organizations and thus exposes their practices to lots of elements. If a company's policies are constantly producing detriment in many locations, they will attract heat from many sides, and news about their problematic actions will constantly trickle and serve to inform other affected individuals, reporters, academic researchers, social advocates, and even politicians. Third, in the same way that brand name helps to market a company or product, the well-known brand names of these tech giants help to assign blame and galvanize people into action. If these giants were to use a different brand name in each country they operated in, it would be harder both to assign blame and to coordinate action against them. It is the consistent use of a single brand name that allows people from different areas to unite against a company and makes coordination of collective action easier. This double sword of a famous brand name also ties into the fourth element, using the media in the effort to take action against the company. Publishing the wrongdoing of a company that is a household name makes much better news than publishing those of an unknown company. Activists, workers, and disgruntled stakeholders may find that the door to exposing the actions of tech giants is not as hard to open as it initially seems, and that the brand name actually opens doors instead of closing them. Moreover, journalism, deteriorated as it may be nowadays, still includes some investigative work which helps both to further expose the practices of tech giants and to integrate many of their incidents into a recognizable pattern. Last but not least, since tech giants' valuation have no link to regular indications of corporate prosperity and are based significantly on an irrational groupthink, these companies may actually be vulnerable to a big enough campaign against them. If some significant action is undertaken that signals to investors that the company may be in trouble, it may cause panic and a deterioration in valuation of the kind that WeWork suffered after its initial attempt to go public. To sum up, it is evident that there are elements that render the big tech giants easy targets for social action, but there are also strong elements that discourage individuals from taking action against them. Overall, I think the greatest obstacle in the way of running a successful campaign against these giants is user dependency upon these companies' products and services, and a general unwillingness of individuals to take action on topics that don't affect them directly. If these two factors can be overcome, we may find that tech giants are in fact easy targets.